that much. And that's the idea of a partnership with God.
A partnership like working alongside someone to accomplish a goal together.
Right. And this is actually what you see at the beginning of the Bible. God creates this good world full of all of this potential. And then God appoints these unique creatures, humans, as his partners in bringing more and more goodness out of all that potential.
But the humans don't want to partner with God. They rebel and try to create a world on their own terms.
And so this broken partnership is the Bible's explanation for why we're stuck in a world of corruption and injustice and the tragedy of death.
So this is a good point, especially for the atheists and those out there. They have created their own matrix. They have created their own idea, and they don't want to look beyond it. But I'm going to keep going back to it. This is a system of approach that I'm trying out. All right. They and both sides can get into arguments, and I still do. I'm human. Argument is so entertaining. However, we have to keep on the same track. We have to treat this. In one sense, I treat it as scientific. In another sense, metaphysical. So metaphysical needs to be brought back into the scientific world because they do not have all the answers. They want to because of their rebellion, because of their ways. And this talks to some of the issues, and I hope this makes sense to some of you. Some of you don't want it to make sense.
It's not like there's just one or two humans who have bailed on this relationship. In the story of the Bible, everyone has abandoned the partnership with God.
So what God does is select a smaller group of people out of the many, and he makes a new partnership with them called a covenant. And in a covenant,
and this is the beautiful part, God knowing what he was going to do, he's eternal. We are finite. He's infinite. And that is another thing, that being infinite and us being finite, we can't grasp. It's beyond my understanding. But even with science, because they take on a worldview that anything to be studied in nature must come from nature, they therefore limit themselves. That is a worldview that is not a scientific view. They name it to be science, therefore they try to and have derail investigation. But I am looking for, and I'm using the fields that I am familiar with to investigate the footprint, the footprint, the handprint of God. Where can we find it? How do we know? Compared to what they are doing, which is put on blinders and say, oh, there's nothing to see here.
God makes promises and then in exchange asks his partner to fulfill certain commitments. And the purpose of all of this is to somehow use this covenant relationship to renew his partnership with everybody else.
Now, there are actually 4 times in the Old Testament that we're told God initiates a covenant relationship with Noah, Abraham, the nation of Israel, and King David.
And it's through these that God is forming a covenant family into which all people will eventually be invited.
So let's see how these work. The first one is with Noah.
So in this story, God has just brought the flood to cleanse the world of humanity's corruption. And Noah and his family are the only ones left. And so God makes a covenant with Noah, saying, listen, I know that humans will continue to be evil, but despite that, I'm not going to destroy it like this again. Instead, the earth will be this reliable place.
Now, God being awesome and eternal, he knows all this, but he is working out the information in front of us so we can be a participant. God goes to Noah and says, do this, do that, and you'll be saved. You'll be saved from this flood. We looking through the world, and the world want to say, well, the reason we have this type geography or this type of landscape is because of meteorites, when in fact that is not the only solution. That is the solution that they want to rely upon, because they want to approve on any other solution, any other avenue of approach. So that is what we're here to bring. Unapologetically, we're going after the truth, and we're going to display our worldview. Everyone has to. Every scientist has to. But we want to do it in such a way that it's understandable. So let us continue.
It's for us to work together.
Great. So what does Noah have to do?
Nothing. And that's what's so interesting about this first covenant is that God is promising to be faithful, even though he knows humans won't be.
The next time we see God make a covenant is with a man named Abraham. God chooses him, promises to bless him, give him a large family, lots of land where they can flourish.
And in return, God asks Abraham to trust him and train up his family to do what is right and just. And the whole reason for this covenant is God says that somehow he's going to bring his blessing to all families of the world through this one family.
So that's Abraham. The next time we see God make a covenant is when Abraham's family grows into the tribe of Israel.
And this covenant is with the whole tribe. God asks them to obey a set of laws, which are these guidelines for living well as a community of God's partners. And if they do this, then God promises to bless them and that they will become a people who then represent him.
So as we go along, we saw contact by God to humans. Many people say, I want to see God in that. Act with us. He has. But then there are time periods when we don't see him. And this is a time period. But lo and behold, the next foreseeable signs and wonders, when they come, the atheists and the agnostics and those that don't believe, they're going to be given alternatives to what God presents, however that could be. But the Antichrist and that sort of thing. So God has made himself known in his wonders that he has made, in the calculations, in the logic, that it should be no great leap. But because as I study evolution and abiogenesis, the leap of faith is with them, not with us. Something was created by nothing. And then this something evolved. First the universe, then these creatures. And then, lo and behold, the very food substance that we need evolved. You hear it says that the banana chose to be yellow to attract animals to eat it. That is a thinking process. Well, then when you push them on it, well, I didn't mean it that way. You're not understanding. No, you have to be able to convey it to a fifth grader. If you can't, you're playing with words, and that is what they do. They are saying, just like the highfalutin priest of old, from Egypt to Assyria to the Vatican, the reason you don't understand is because you don't have what we have, the knowledge that we have. You're lacking something, whether intelligence or the mysteries. So they have taken the place of the mysteries within the mysteries in science. And you are ignorant if you don't understand that the emperor, who doesn't have any clothes on, is fully clothed.
For the rest of humanity.
That's the covenant with Israel. The last covenant is with King David.
Yeah, the tribe of Israel has become this large nation ruled by David. And God asked David and his descendants to partner with him by leading Israel in obeying the laws and doing what is right and just. And God promises that one day, one of David's sons will come and extend God's kingdom of peace and blessing over all the nations.
So those are the 4 covenants that God makes in order to restore his partnership with the whole world.
But here's what happens. Israel breaks the covenant. They worship other gods. They allow horrible injustice. And so they lose their land and are forced off into exile.
So it seems hopeless. But during this time,
And this, when it comes to Romans, has God forsaken his people Israel? And those that want to replace Israel, even in the millennium, they want to replace them now for whatever reason. They want to do away with it, with the covenants. But scripture shows, Ezekiel, Zechariah, they are wrong. That the Jews has not been replaced. Their time will return. So we can't be jealous or high-minded or look down upon them, because what are they doing? What are we doing? The same thing they did. So that is not the way of God.
Israel's prophets talked about a day when God would restore these covenants in spite of Israel's failure, somehow.
Yeah, they called it the New Covenant. And this is actually what's so interesting about Jesus, is that he's introduced into this story as the one who fulfills all of these covenant relationships. We're told that he's from the family of Abraham, and so he will bring the blessings of that family to the whole world. We're told that he's the faithful Israelite who is able to truly obey the law. And we're told that he's the king from the line of David, and so he goes about extending God's kingdom of justice and peace to all.
That's really remarkable for one guy.
Yeah, and what it highlights is perhaps the most surprising claim of all made about this man, that Jesus is no mere human, but rather God become human. And God did this in order to be that faithful covenant partner that we are all made to be.
Amen.
And failed.
And fail.
And so through Jesus, God has opened up a way for anyone to be in a renewed partnership with him.
Amen.
So Jesus calls people to follow him and become part of this new covenant family.
And despite their failures, Jesus is committed to making them into partners who are becoming more and more faithful.
The story of the Bible ends with a vision of a fully renewed world, full of goodness and peace.
And there's this renewed humanity there, partnering together with God to expand the goodness of his creation. And so the end of the Bible story is really a new beginning.
All right, so that was good. I like them. However, a couple things, they believe in the Trinity. I don't. And the other thing is, they appear to me from their teachings to be somewhat into the, I forgot the name of the term, but Calvinist, and I am not. So that's something to consider.
Fat is a good thing. Your body uses it for energy when carbohydrates.
Now, we're going to jump off something that is near and dear to my heart, more to my belly, but to my heart. So again, I'm going to cut these up into clips for the live. You get the full gamut, but getting into shape is part of, living a good life. So it's just part of what I'm interested in, and I hope you can follow along.
Stores run out. It protects your organs from trauma, and cells need it to make phospholipids to build their cell membranes. There is no one specific body fat percentage that is ideal, just as there is no one ideal body weight. Instead, the World Health Organization suggests a range of body fat that should be maintained. For men, this is between 11% and 21% body fat, and women between 23 and 31% body fat. But
You mean they recognize a difference between male and female? Wow.
too much of anything can be bad. When body fat percentages exceed these ranges, the extra weight alters the mechanics and biochemistry of the body. For clarification, the body fat percentage discussed in this video is in the morbid obese range. Morbid obesity in men is a body fat percentage of 40% or more. For women, it's 45% or more. Morbid obesity puts extra stress on the lower joints and bones. Load-bearing bones can fracture over time, and tendons can be damaged.
Woo.
You might wonder, if excess weight puts stress on the joints, why don't muscular people experience the same joint problems as those who are obese? After all, muscle weighs more than fat. The key difference is muscle supports the joints. When muscles contract, they help move bones more efficiently and stabilize the joints during motion, reducing strain and improving joint mechanics. Fat, by contrast, does not provide a functional movement. It's stored chemical energy that acts as dead weight, and too much of this dead weight can cause damage over time. For example, morbid obese weight can cause the arch of the foot to collapse, known as fallen arches. The arch of the foot is maintained by a tendon called the posterior tibial tendon. Over time, this tendon becomes strained from excess weight and collapses, resulting in flat feet.
All right, so my Zoom call just messed up. Let me redo this. Of course, it's gonna. Give me a break, people. But while we do that, let me put on some music for those on the live. This is music that I make with AI, so tell me what you think.
Focus. What's in the food? What's in the drink? They trying to jab us. What?
Okay. I'm not getting what I want, but apparently I'm still in. All right, so we'll get into the music later.
Yeah.
All right, so back to where I was. Drop this down. Threw me off my guard there for a minute. Cancel that. Just drop that down. Where am I? All right.
Excessive fat around the abdomen causes a forward rotation of the pelvis, creating an anterior tilt or forward lean of the body. This increases the arch of the lower back, causing strain on the hip flexors and the lumbar spine. The femur and tibia, being load-bearing, support the majority of the body's weight. These bones will naturally get stronger as you gain weight. However, in a morbidly obese body, they become weaker and are more prone to fractures. This phenomenon is due to the obesity paradox. When bone is
So part of my, your mind, body, and spirit, this is part of it. We got to get our mind right. That's why we come here, we share ideas. I'm affiliated with, again, the Republican Party. However, when they mess up, you got to go against them. Don't be in the mindset of the group think. You have to go against whoever, even if Trump mess up, you guys, hey, I don't like that President Trump. Well, he get mad, call you all kind of names, whatever. You make a stand on what is right. However, we do need to work together to get to the goal. And sometimes we have to overlook some things, but not like the Democrats. They are sold out on their agendas. And, the far left get on the middle left a lot too, because they want perfection. Just like the far right, there's never anything good enough that you're doing. So I said all that to say this: mind, body, spirit. So let's work on it.
Placed under stress, it will adapt to the stress by increasing its density and strength. This is known as Wolff's Law. This is also why, as you put on muscle, your bones become stronger. Paradoxically, in morbidly obese individuals, their bones, especially the load-bearing femur and tibia, become weaker. This is caused by an increase in marrow adiposity. Essentially, excess fat begins to seep into the bone marrow and disrupts the bone's microarchitecture. This week,
now I have never heard this before. So this is okay. This is something I'm gonna have to look into. When I hear something, some knowledge, some information, some evidence, you just don't take it on face value. You run it down. If I say it, anybody else say it, you run it down, you check it out. This is like, wow.
Weakens the internal structure of the bone, making it less dense and more prone to fragility fractures. But one of the most noticeable biomechanics of an obese body is the gait, aptly named the obese gait.
Wow.
The obese gait is characterized by a widened swing and a shorter stride. When walking, the feet tend to be in a longer double support phase, meaning both feet are on the ground at the same time for a longer duration than is normal. An obese body walks in this manner to lower their center of gravity, be more stable, and most importantly, reduce the load on the hip and knee joints.
We got to take better care of ourselves.
When you walk, force is sent through your knees and hips as your feet hit the ground. In response, your body generates downward forces through muscles and joint structures. to support your weight and keep you balanced. This interaction between the ground pushing up and your body pushing down creates a load on your hip and knee joints. This load puts 3 times your body weight on your knees and 6 times your body weight on your hips. For an obese body, the multiplied weight is a much heavier load on the joints, making conventional walking uncomfortable and tiring. By taking a wider step, it changes the angle at which the force is transferred through their joints. This spreads out the load more evenly across the hips and knees, thereby reducing discomfort. Though this walking pattern provides some relief, its abnormal movement causes muscle atrophy and joint damage.
Wow.
For example, the obese...
That's true. This point, when you don't use the muscle, you lose it. It's true. And I am getting back into definitely working out. No excuse, but it is common when you go through any intense training, which was the PhD. You focus so much on that because you cannot fail. You do not want to fail, that you neglect. And then my absent-minded eating and everything else brought on weight gain. And then the age problem and the pain problem, no excuse, but it's reality. Then you neglect to do it even more. But then, put your mind on it. I'm going to work around the pain. Where this don't hurt, I'm going to do as much as possible. You build up those muscles and you build up the stamina and you get back into it by the grace of God.
Obese gait can lead to genu valgum, also known as knee knock. Knee knock is a condition in which the knees angle inward and may touch or come close together when the knees are fully extended during walking or standing. Muscles like the gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, and tensor fasciae latae help stabilize the pelvis and keep the femur aligned over the knee. However, during a wide gait, these muscles are used less and begin to atrophy. Stabilization decreases. The pelvis tilts forward, the femur angles.
So you lose your butt muscles. Okay.
Outward, and the knees take on more load, thereby collapsing inward. So far, we've seen what morbid obesity does to the mechanics of the body. Let's see what happens on a molecular level.
And this is true, and also learn through the hard way. All right, it raises your blood pressure. Your blood pressure destroys the smallest veins in your eyes into your body because it's pushing the blood through, and a lot of it's permanent damage at the smallest level, the smallest veins, in your body and arteries. It's amazing.
Morbid obesity increases the LDL cholesterol, or bad cholesterol, in your blood. Too much LDL causes plaque to build up in the arteries, increasing the risk of heart disease. This is due to high levels of fatty acids in the blood, which impair the body's ability to allocate fat for energy. Let's see how this works. When your muscles need energy, they break down glucose from long-chain carbohydrate stores, called glycogen. These glycogen stores are found in muscle and liver cells. When these stores are used up from fasting or high-intensity activity, like running, the body switches to fat reserves for energy production. In order to get fat from your adipose tissue to your muscle tissue, fat is released into the bloodstream. It's carried to the liver, where it's packaged into particles of cholesterol, called VLDL cholesterol. The liver releases these particles of VLDL cholesterol back into the blood, where they bind to muscle cells, get absorbed, and are used for energy. In cases of morbid obesity, fat is released into the blood, not because muscles need it for energy, but because adipose stores are overfilled. As a result, fat will occasionally leak into the bloodstream.
Wow.
The liver packs this fat into VLDL cholesterol particles and sends it back into the blood. However, VLDL cholesterol does not get taken up by muscle cells, as they have not depleted their own glycogen stores. So it sits in the blood until it's needed. When VLDL stays in the blood for a long time, it's converted to LDL cholesterol by lipase enzymes. LDL has a very high cholesterol composition, making it very sticky, which is why it's the bad cholesterol. Due to its sticky surface, LDL cholesterol will bind to openings on blood vessels that are created from inflammation.
Wow.
When it gets wedged into these openings, it gets stuck and is converted to plaque, causing atherosclerosis. As LDL cholesterol builds up in the arterial wall, it impedes blood flow until it causes.
Now, is this true? This is something I've learned. That is amazing. I wondered, I was looking at the visual that some of you can't see. How did the plaque get into the veins and now through openings, through inflammation? Some of you might find that boring. I find it interesting.
A complete blockage, causing a heart attack. Excess fat doesn't just clog your arteries, it clogs your liver as well, causing fatty liver disease. Fatty liver disease is a condition where liver tissue becomes scarred from storing too much fat. As adipose cells become less efficient at storing fat, the body has to store it in a secondary location, which in this case is the liver. Over time, the liver will break down this fat for energy, but when it does, it also makes a small amount of toxic metabolites from fat metabolism. In a normal body weight, the amount of fat stored in the liver is very small, so the amount of toxins made is very low and doesn't cause any serious problems. When the liver is overloaded with fat, it makes large amounts of toxins. As the toxins accumulate, they cause inflammation, resulting in cirrhosis of the liver. Liver damage is a serious problem because it becomes less efficient at breaking down toxins. Toxins like ammonia, alcohol, medications, and even environmental toxins linger in the body, causing additional problems. The only other way your liver is this damaged by lifestyle is by drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, known as alcohol-induced cirrhosis. Let that sink in for a second. Morbid obesity is so harmful to your body that your liver has the same damage as a freaking alcoholic. Hopefully, this video makes it clear what obesity does to your body. I am in no way trying to shame or scare anyone into losing weight. This is a scientific explanation of physiology and biochemistry under obese conditions. How you choose to live and treat your body is your choice, but just know these are the effects. Thank you for watching Dark Science.
Dark Science. Okay. I like them. Give them a little. They already got 30,000 likes. All right. So we have that. And now we're going to jump into another one. This going back into public policy and administration. This is going to follow on up with Trump. See what we got here.
Candidate Bruce Blakeman getting President Trump's full endorsement over the weekend. His rival, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, dropped out of the race suddenly late last week. She also announced that she will not seek re-election to Congress, saying she would feel profound regret if she didn't spend more time with her family. Bruce Blakeman joins me now. Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Well, let's start with President Trump's endorsement over the weekend. He writes, Bruce is MAGA all the way and has been with me from the very beginning. Bruce Blakeman is a fantastic guy, will win the big November election, and without hesitation has my complete and total endorsement.
Now, he didn't go with Stefanik. There was a lot of energy, there's a lot of talk going when she said she jumped in the race, but you don't know what's going behind the politics. You don't know what's going behind the scenes. So what is interesting is that President Trump has now endorsed Bruce. Never heard of him. I had heard of her. So we'll see how that works out. Again, politics is politics, but why and how these things go about, don't understand. And thank those who have joined. I see Wayne, Salvation Journey, Dr. Brenda B, and Patrick. I'm just working through some stuff as I develop my own little channel. So I hope you get something out of it. Right now, I'm doing a Zoom presentation, so you can't see it. But same thing with TikTok. I'm on TikTok, Substack, and doing a Zoom recording. So I hope you get something out of this. If so, let me know. Like, follow, share. Ever want to team up or talk about topics? When I'm talking about myself, not about myself. When I'm on here alone, I do my own little thing, but I'm always willing to talk politics or religion.
What does that mean to you and your campaign?
Well, I'm very grateful and blessed to have President Trump's full endorsement. President Trump has done more for America in the last 11 months than any president in my memory has done in their full term. He's tireless. He's got an incredible work ethic, and he gets things done. You just saw last week with the slashing of prescription drug prices. How many people is that going to hurt? There's so many people that have to be on drugs to make sure that they can live a good quality of life. He's just made it more affordable for them. Gasoline prices are coming down. I think President Trump has done a great job. And here in New York State, we know that he loves New Yorkers and he loves New York State. He's a New Yorker himself. So we're very happy to have his endorsement.
From the Siena College poll, 50% of those surveyed prefer someone other than reelecting Kathy Hochul. What does that say to you? And do you feel like that gives you a shot, even though New York is a very blue state?
Very blue state. They may not like her, or they might want somebody else, but to vote for someone in the GOP is something that's would be outstanding. And hopefully he would do a good job. Don't know him.
Well, we're going to win because I just won re-election in a county that mirrors New York State as far as demographics. I won 56% of the Hispanic American vote. I won the Asian American vote. I won independent women. And in a night that was very bleak for Republicans across the United States, I won in a landslide. And there's 110,000 more Democrats in my county than Republicans. Even African American voters gave me a record number of votes. Usually a Republican candidate gets 9% of the African American vote. I think I got 32%. So we have a broad base of support. I have solutions for people's problems. Kathy Hochul has made people in New York miserable. I want to make them happy again. I want to put New Yorkers first.
It's at the point for me now. The extreme left, extreme right. We need someone in the middle to pull it all together. You don't get everything that you want. We have to compromise, but we shouldn't compromise on the downward slope. Closing the border, getting back to common sense. We are using fossil fuels, and we need to look at the science of the Green New Deal, and we need to analyze. We need to talk about it. We got lives, but we can't have others do the hard work for us. Now they go out there, do the investigations, they do the research, but we got the hard work is go over and look up what they say and find the bias, find who, follow the money. And this is what I learned the other day, when the companies, food companies and the different ones put food out there, if it wasn't for RFK, we wouldn't have known that beef tallow is better for you than the seed oils, because in the scheme of things, if you take in any alcohol, you take alcohol in with the seed oils, it destroys your pancreas. But you don't get that information. Now, it's shown it in rats and different things like that, because human trials are hard and, of course, dangerous. You let someone stay on the alcohol and the seed oils and they die, or they, sign a waiver or whatever. So the thing I'm saying is the information is out there. They're not getting it to us. So we have to go to this very widespread administration. You got so many Democrats from so many different areas. They wasn't Republicans. They're centrists. So that's the good thing about this Trump administration, that they want to tell you they're MAGA, 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 but they're centrists. The far right Republicans don't like them. The far left don't like them. So it's amazing what we got going on right now.
In an environment where we can create economic development, prosperity, and keep people safe in their communities, all things that Kathy Hochul has failed to do.
We're just about out of time, but she says MAGA won't win in New York. What about that?
She wants to talk about everything but her record. Her record is one of failure and misery, and I'm going to talk about my record. You can compare the two. I would be a much better governor than Kathy Hochul, and I will win, and people will be happy again in New York State.
We will closely follow the race. Bruce Blakeman, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my
Now, moving on. What's this?
Okay. Is this it? Is this the post on it? So they've
All right. So now we're getting back into something here where we have, and I do want the Epstein's files released, and I do think President Trump fumbled at the beginning of the year with how he, for whatever reason, don't know his mindset, how he tried to say, hey, you still thinking about this? Yes, we were. And the thing is, even if he wanted to pivot us away from the Epstein file, he did it the wrong way, as far as I'm concerned. He should be a better showman, than that. And therefore, I think Friday was the deadline, and they fall behind. And we got Congressman Massey now looking to go after Pam Bondi. So we see how that works. But I said all that to get to this. We're going to go through Asmongold and see what he has to say about the release and not the full disclosure that's going on here.
Actually come out.
The Department of Justice. The Trump administration is continuing its unprecedented support for the Epstein transparency after the Biden administration declined to make any files public. This is obviously a misrepresentation. Trump has gone out and he tried to make the appeal to triviality with Epstein multiple times.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
Also, you broke the law by not releasing everything. Two main points of contention that they did not follow with. Every redaction had to be explained. And number two, all of the files had to be released. The redactions were not explained and all of the files were not released. How much more material can we be expected to release? Because this is the big question, right? The Department of Justice has hundreds of thousands of pages of material to release, including material that must comply with court orders. The court orders can slow down the Department of Justice's ability to review and redact the material, but it will not prevent the release of the material. The Department of Justice has had more than 200 lawyers working around the clock reviewing each individual file for release. This is an arduous process as each document and photograph must be individually reviewed by the DOJ and the Southern District of New York in order for potential redactions and to protect victims or potential victims. So are you telling me that you have 200 people that are on this and this is all you could produce after an entire month? What is being redacted? The Department of Justice is committed to transparency and redacting only what is legally required, identifying information about the victims, minors, or potential victims, as well as privileged material. No redactions have been or will be made to protect famous individuals or politically exposed persons. Why have some photos been released and then removed? Good question. As material is released, the Department of Justice is receiving incoming from individuals alleging to be victims and their lawyers requesting that certain information be removed. Out of an abundance of caution, the material is temporarily removed for review and will be released again with appropriate redactions if legally required. Let me get this straight. So you guys had 200 people working on this, but not only could you not do all the information, but the information that you did do, you did it wrong. This is really good to hear. I highlighted the law for you. No later than 30 days after the date of the enactment of the law.
You don't sound
No,
convinced that they are abiding.
No, they are not abiding. Our law trumps the prior law. That's just common sense. Law School 101. Yet Todd Blanche is using a different theory that wouldn't survive first contact with any court.
Okay. What are you going to do about it to force them to comply? I mean,
Impeach-
can you do anything?
Impeach them.
There are several ways to get at this. Some take longer, some are shorter. The quickest way to get justice for these victims is to bring inherent contempt against Pam Bondi. And that doesn't require going through the court. And basically, Rokan and I are talking about and drafting that right now.
Why do you think he is working so hard not to get them released for so many months? What do you think the real reason is?
These files implicate billionaires and political donors. Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why, oh boy, there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that's going to backfire on them too.
You better watch his back. I mean, it's already out there, right? Anything happens to him, I feel like it's just going to radicalize people 1,000 times more.
So again, this is just one take of the situation. Asmongold is a huge streamer. So, but that is the mindset of that age group and different ones. We want the information out. We want it out now. However, my mindset is not like his as much, but we want the information. We want transparency. We want to flush the FBI files. Kash Patel talked about it. We don't see it being done. He is moving different things. Different things are coming. No doubt about it. We have had more transparency, in my view, with them than they have in the past, especially the FBI. The burn bags, the different things that they tried to hide, they tried to put away, they tried to gaslight us. All of that is something to be considered. That so I'm still happy with the administration. Let me know in the comments what you think, how you feel. But I'm still happy with the administration. I'm not just this one issue. Opening the closing down the wall, the knowing that Doge at least tried is 100. I think it's like 162 lawsuits out there, whereas Doge would win in these lawsuits by the administration fighting the Democrats. Billions of dollars would be saved. They say, why did Musk fail? He didn't fail. The actions are still going on. However, just unlocking, throwing the lid off of it was enough for me. I still want to see the other actions taken and things being reviewed, and every state needs a Doge. Every county needs a Doge. The amount of money that they kick back to each other. If you send money overseas and you got homeless in the street and you got people on welfare that could be working, and you're taking, that's just socialism. You're taking from those that can and to giving it to those that won't. I'm not talking about the actual person that need it. So many don't need it, but are being given it. That's my problem. All right, so let's go on. Another win for Trump here.
Thank you. Good for her.
So, with regard to the current administration,
this is Nicki Minaj and Erica Kirk speak at TPSUS event Phoenix. I don't know when this happened. I think it happened recently. Hey, let me know. I know it just came out. This Black conservative on his channel got over 1.69 million subscribers. Don't see how many views we got here yet. 6.6 thousand. So,
what has been maybe the biggest surprise for you, or something that you just really has been put on your heart that you've learned about our president and our vice president?
Well, I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president.
All right. She's going to be hated. She's going to be talked about. The left is going to turn on her like piranhas. You do not ever say anything good about the GOP. We're Nazis, we're racist, we're Neanderthals. How dare her? How dare she say such nice things about the President of the United States?
He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact. He's from Queens, New York, like me. So, but what it's shown me personally is sometimes, even in the worst feeling times in your life, you think that you're never going to come back from it.
I'm going through that right now. I know you can be. I know how you feel.
But
Thank
our
God.
president shows that he's been through every single thing.
We are living in incredible times. 2 assassination attempts, 91 felonies, 5 lawsuits. Whew.
A person could be through publicly.
Yes.
Having to constantly be lied on. It's not really that funny until you are in that person's shoes that's being lied on.
Yeah.
You'll never understand what it feels like. That person is a human being. They have a family who has to read those lies. And it's just not fair. But this administration is full of people with heart and soul.
Wow.
And they make me proud of them.
Do I need to say she's African American? I mean, the amount of hate I get on TikTok and Uncle Tommy, and to hear someone from the street level. Now she's millions, of dollars rich now, but who came from that, who still has a connection to that, to say what she's saying is amazing. Because they will do everything they can to keep you on the plantation of the Democratic Party. I don't care if you just go centrist, but you got to, if you go back to Malcolm X, and he pointed out this, and this was in the 60s, that 80% or 90% of the African American Black folks had voted for the Democrats. We were the reason that the Democrats made it in. They had locked in our vote. Then we was number 2. Now we're number 3. We're going to be number 3. Number 2 has become the Hispanics. Number 3 is going to be the Asians. We are moving further and further. If you look at, and I'm going to do a PowerPoint, if you look at the projects of the socialists, starting with FDR, and go back, you can go back and further with the IRS, with Wilson. Their programs have debilitated the middle class and also the poor, because they went to help, but their programs, like Malcolm X have said, and others, has actually had worse outcomes. It is good to teach, give a man a fish, but to teach him to fish. But what they did with the projects, so many African Americans complain about the white man and the projects, but they don't do the research. Who conceived and brought forth the plan of the projects? It wasn't the Republicans, it was the Democrats. Now they got you housed in like rats, and to get out, they brought you all in, use you for their gain, and now they got you stuck in this mindset. But let's go on. I can go on forever with this.
Vice President, he makes me, well, I love both of them. They're both powerful men, smart, strong, all of that, but both of them have a very uncanny ability to be someone that you relate to. I can relate to them. When I hear them speak, I know that they're one of us. Like, I know that they're not. Don't you guys agree? They haven't lost touch of the world. You know, they're still connected to the world and what's happening in the world, with the younger people and older people, with the richer people and not so rich people. They have the ability to still connect and be real.
Wow.
And make us feel proud to be American.
Wow.
Amen. That's beautiful. And just in case you didn't know, Nicki Minaj recently thanked President Trump for shedding light on the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Listen to this.
Let's go to Nigeria, where gunmen opened fire on worshippers in a church in the town of Aruku on Tuesday evening, killing 2 people and abducting several others.
So wrong.
Local media say armed men identified by residents as bandits stormed the Christ Apostolic Church in southwestern Kwara State during an evening program, shooting the pastor and rounding up worshippers at gunpoint. Meanwhile, in the northwestern state of Kebbi, authorities say a team of soldiers, police and volunteers are combing forested areas to pursue the gunmen who abducted 25 girls from a school on Monday and shot dead their teacher. BBC Africa's Chris Siwoko in Abuja gave us more details on the investigations into both incidents.
It's really a day of tragedy here in Nigeria. And in fact, what the authorities are saying in Kwara State is that security agents have been deployed to follow up and track the abductors, the gunmen, and see if they can rescue those that have been abducted. But basically, it's sort of triggered tension across the country, and a lot of people are currently afraid. It happened in a church, and people have been saying a lot about what the government needs to do to keep not just the church, but all the citizens safe. And the government of Nigeria, especially the president, had been speaking, and he had condemned these attacks and has vowed that decisive action will be taken to end violence and insecurity in the country.
Earlier this month, Mr. Trump said he would send troops into Nigeria, quote, guns a-blazing, if its government continues, in his words, to allow the killing of Christians. The award-winning rapper Nicki Minaj has publicly backed President Trump on this and demanded urgent action.
In Nigeria, Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart, and entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray. Sadly, this problem is not only a growing problem in Nigeria, but also in so many other countries across the world, and it demands urgent action. I would like to thank President Trump for prioritizing this issue and for his leadership on the global stage in calling for urgent action to defend Christians in Nigeria, to combat extremism, and to bring a stop to violence against those who simply want to exercise their natural right to freedom of religion or belief.
Okay, now this is in Nigeria. Listen to this.
Trump must come in Nigeria. He must come. We support the calling of American soldiers in Nigeria. Our President Trump must come in Nigeria. Yes, as you can see, we are progressing peaceful protests. We support the coming of President Trump in Nigeria. This killing of Christians is too much in Nigeria. We need Trump to come in Nigeria to fundamental. We need Trump. We are in support of President Trump. Look at Trump. Thousands of Christians have been killed in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians have been slaughtered in Nigeria. And the world is to be silent. Thousands of Christians have been slaughtered in Nigeria. Thousands. So,
where are the free Palestine? Where are those that detest genocide? They're Christians. they don't care. They are opportunists. They are haters. They are lost souls. That's what and where they're at.
We support President Donald Trump, but we are begging President Donald Trump. President Donald Trump, please don't disappoint us. We and black Christians are still waiting for you. The killing is still going on. We are begging President Donald Trump to fulfill his promise. The killing is still going on. Do you support President Donald Trump? We need to work must go to Nigeria to fight against terrorists.
Where is the Black Lives Matter? Where are the Democrats? Where are the leftists, communists? Where's the UN? Nobody cares because it ain't Jews and it ain't Americans and it ain't white people.
We are excited that President Trump has taken this decision. We are 100% in support. All Christians in Nigeria, especially our missionary network, they are 100% in support of the action taken by Trump. We're praying for Trump, and we're excited that he's taking that action, and we pray that he will.
Now, the far right, not all, but many, will hate this move by Trump, even though he might be just posturing, because they, like the far left, don't have a middle ground. It's absolute. That's the problem with the far right.
See it through and ensure that the leadership in Nigeria take the right decision and ensure that jihadists are eliminated. And I can tell you, I can see already, since Trump listed Nigeria as a country of particular concern, the government have stepped up action. So, President Trump, please ensure that you insist that the right thing is done by the leadership in Nigeria.
Yes, and Andrew, you called President Trump an answered prayer, and I just want to end by sharing my sentiments. Matthew 5:10-12. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. Andrew, I will see many of your missionaries in heaven, and I can't wait to meet them. Thank you for spreading the word of God. The gospel message. Amen.
Amen. What a mess, man. Okay, listen, you can love or hate Nicki Minaj all you want, or you might not be a fan of her music, and that's fine. But you cannot be against what she said here.
Right.
That's a good thing. She's doing something good. And God bless the Trump administration for trying to protect Christians in Africa, more specifically Nigeria. You let me know what you think about this in the comment section. This is a good thing. And God bless her for that. God bless you and your family. Catch you on the next one.
Yes. All right. Maybe one more video or maybe two. Let's see how short they are. Thanks, Phil, for joining. Thanks.
RFK Jr. just made a bold move when it comes.
All right. So I talked about this earlier today.
To beans and protein. The U.S. dietary.
I learned more about this because of RFK, and that's like the seed oils and everything else. And if anything, just educating us into what we can do. All right, imagine you're out Saturday, Friday night, you're on the weekend, you're having a party, young people doing this. And many people don't make choices, based on anything other than taste good, feel good. So you're out, they've been drinking, and then they go to McDonald's, Burger King, wherever, and they're using seed oil. And this is the part that you might miss the connection. The alcohol does so much damage, but when you put in the seed oil, what that does to the pancreas and to the body is much more. That was the killer. They had rats. They fed them. They let them drink as much as they want to. Both. It was control. You had one group, and then you had another group that ate it and drank, and then had the seed oil and did not. Still, both sides drunk alcohol, but one had seed oil. The one with the seed oil destroyed their pretty sure the pancreas. The one without the seed, later on, when they reversed that and stopped giving them seed oil, but beef tallow, they reversed the damage to their body. So this is what is not being told. Why did we have to get Trump in here to learn about that? Why somebody else calling RFK crazy and all that kind of stuff when it's pushed by the media, who is paid by the food industry, paid by Big Pharma? They're just mouthpieces. They don't go out there. They're not independent. They're controlled by the ad revenue. So it's up to us to get the information independently and spread it. So this young lady, who is this Lily Kane, this video has over 475,000 views. She is doing good. And I found her the other day and just want to share. Those y'all can't see. I will post it later to Substack and to TikTok. But on my lives, I'm not that sophisticated at this time.
Advisory Committee wanted to tell Americans to swap out red meat.
This war against beef, red meat. They want you to eat beans. They want to control red meat. Bill Gates wants you to stop eating meat. He is not going to stop eating meat. He didn't stop going to the Epstein Island. He didn't stop going on the flights. His wife left him because of that. But he wants to control you because they are superior to us. All right. They want to stop the cows from mething, from farting. Okay. So get you off of meat means that you will have the cows will be less cows, therefore be less methane. He wants to put things in the cow to keep the cow from passing gas. They want control. Follow the money. They want to control your mind, heart, body, and spirit.
Eat for beans, peas, and lentils. Basically, they wanted to.
And that's by their action, what they have said. He's gone on and said, and I'm reading into the intention. Why are you trying to control my meat production and my meat consumption? Why? Because you think that at 0.0% of the 0.0% that we produce is really the problem? No.
To tell Americans to be bloated and gassy all day. But RFK Jr. said, nope, he is not carrying that forward. Now, he didn't say that beans are bad. He just refused to elevate them as a main protein source because let's be real, beans aren't the same as meat. Beans don't have the complete amino acid profile. They come with carbs and anti-nutrients, and they're not nearly as bioavailable as animal protein. So while the committee wanted to cut red meat and push...
Like any top-down, the socialists, the communists, and I had this on TikTok, did a little survey. Which group has done more harm to the environment? And God bless you, 20s and your 30s and some of your 40s and 50s, you don't have a clue. It's out there. It's readily out there. Communist, socialist, or capitalism. I divided up socialists and communists, but the know-it-alls say, oh, he put them together. It's separate. It's three categories: capitalist, socialist. What? Reading is, you need comprehension for reading. So they say capitalism. But then I gave them the Ariel C. And they said, well, what about Lake Mead? Lake Mead was created, it's an artificial man-made lake. Not the same thing. So they're not doing the research. They're not taking the time to learn about the basic knowledge they need to make decisions. But these are the voters, at least some of them. Let me get off this rant.
Beans, RFK Jr. is keeping beef, eggs, and real protein front and center. RFK Jr. just made a bold move when it comes to...
So that I felt was necessary to go over. Let's do one more, and then we'll get out of here. This is about.
I personally want to know what inspired you to speak out for the Christians that are being slaughtered in Nigeria.
Well, again, this is another version of her speaking at the TPS.
And that brings me back to our great president and this administration and our great country.
Hell yeah.
That we take for granted that there right now in this world are people who cannot worship God as they please, where they please. We take it for granted because we have it.
Yes.
We can't even imagine not having that right.
Yeah.
But every time we pray and fellowship,
yeah,
we have to remember the people that are right now in this world hiding to pray and fellowship. And we have to pray for them.
Yeah.
And first of all, Nigeria is a place I've always loved. Someone very dear to me, my pastor, is Nigerian. I have lots of Nigerian barbs. And so hearing that people are being kidnapped, and while they're in church, people are being kidnapped, people are being killed, brutalized, all because of their religion. And that should spark outrage in the great America.
Yeah.
And that's what it did. And again, we're not backing down anymore. We are not going to be silenced by the bullies anymore. Okay? Know that. Hear that. Receive that, bullies. We won't be silenced ever again. We will speak up for Christians wherever they are in this world.
Amen.
God, monitor 52. All right. For those who can't read that.
New scum.
Okay. A few minutes later.
Moments later.
And what do you think about for young men? For young men.
And for young men, don't be new scum.
No. Come on. Oh, crazy. Oh my God.
Imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Haha, not even a trans adult would run on that. Normal adults wake up and think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids. Not Gav.
Wow. All right. I'm going to call it quits on that. Thank you for joining in. Thanks, Phil, for joining. The different ones on TikTok and Substack. I'm going to load this up later on. Leave comments. What do you think? Good, bad, or indifferent? Let me know. We're going to do more into public policy and administration. I'm going to do more on abiogenesis and evolution. I'm going to try to be more succinct and more direct. Got a lot of criticism. I'm working on it. Nobody's perfect, but we live and learn, and I appreciate your support, and I thank you for your time spent with us. God